to be a hard fight. We're going to need knocking on doors and letter writing and phone calling and filling rooms like this over and over from now until November. But I know you've had her back for years and years and years. I know you're going to have her back now. Let's welcome my mom to the stage, Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
Chairman Buckley, and to all of his great team at the New Hampshire Democratic Party for all of their work on this event and every day of the year. I want to begin today by honoring two of New Hampshire and the Democratic Party's best friends. Senate Democratic Leader Sylvia Larson and Speaker Terry Norelli. I know that Sylvia couldn't be here today, but I think Speaker Norelli was here. I don't know if she's here, Terry. There she is, Terry. You know, their work has made New Hampshire a better place. And while I know we all understand and appreciate their desire to begin to work on new things, start new chapters in their lives after all of the decades of service that they have given to us, we will miss their leadership. Thank you to Sylvia and Terry for your friendship and for your dedication to all of the people of New Hampshire. We will miss you, but we expect you back here soon. And to Stephanie, to all my family, they're not here because they're in other places helping me today, but to my husband Billy, to my daughters Stacy and Molly, to all of our grandchildren, thank you. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without all of them. I wouldn't be here without all of you. And for us, like so many in New Hampshire, family is everything. It's our first priority, and in our family, we have been truly blessed to have such a wonderful family. Now, there's a lot to celebrate in New Hampshire. We all know that. The great people who live and work here, the small businesses that drive our economy, the beauty of our great state from the White Mountains to the seacoast and everything in between, the Lakes region. But we face some challenges too. I hear the concerns of people from all over the state, and I've been listening for a very long time. Too many parents are worried about their kids. Can they afford college? And if they're able to cobble together what it takes, can they then dig out from the mountain of debt because of their student loans? And too many workers are worried about their future. Will they have the skills to succeed in this global economy? Can they afford health insurance? Can they enjoy a secure retirement? These are New Hampshire's challenges, and with your help, I'm taking them on with common sense solutions solutions that make a difference for the people of this state. Because my time in public office and this race for the Senate is about putting New Hampshire first. So when I kept hearing that our businesses need skilled workers and too many young people need jobs, I fought for the Manchester Job Corps Center to help young people get the training they need for good-paying jobs. And because roads and bridges are the lifeline of our economy, I worked hard to get the funding to rebuild Portsmouth's Memorial Bridge and to expand and to complete the expansion of Interstate 93. And because jobs are so important all across New Hampshire, but especially in the North Country, I'm sure we have some people from the North Country here today. They're always the loudest one in the room, right? That's why I worked so hard to make sure we could get the funding to open the prison in Berlin. And because college debt is holding back too many of our kids, and now it's affecting our economy because kids can't get out and get married and buy a home and buy a car because they have that mountain of student loan debt, I worked this week with Elizabeth Warren to introduce legislation. So many of our colleagues to introduce legislation to allow students to refinance their college loans at lower rates. And we pay for it by asking millionaires and billionaires to pay their fair share of taxes. No, it's not fair that we can refinance our cars, we can refinance our homes, but students can't refinance their college loan debt. It's not fair to make them carry the full burden of those college loans. So we fought hard for that legislation on the Senate floor this week. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. There were too many on the other side of the aisle who kept us from getting this done, but we're not going to quit. We're going to keep working hard to make sure that our kids and their families get out from under that burden. And I'm proud of what we've been able to do to help our veterans. You saw my friend White Card. For decades, veterans over in the western part of the state were promised that they'd get a health care clinic. So when I got elected, we worked with Dwight, we worked with other veterans in the western part of the state, and we got it done. Now we've got a new VA clinic. And we've got others that are coming to Berlin and Colebrook. And you know what the best thing about that ad that's been running with Dwight Clark? Dwight told me this when I saw him a couple of weeks ago. He said the best thing about it is that because they've seen the ad, veterans all over that part of New Hampshire know that that new clinic is there that's offering health care and that they can go and get the benefits. And that's the best thing about that ad. There's no doubt, and I know we've got lots of veterans in the room here, there's no doubt that the VA faces serious challenges. The recent report from the Inspector General makes that clear. We do need new leadership at the VA, but that's just the first step. We've got to fix the underlying problems at the VA, and we've got to honor the promise that we made to our veterans. And I am going to keep working to make sure that we keep that promise. the discrimination against women in the military who were denied access to an abortion. Even in cases of rape and incest, they could not use their health care coverage that's provided by the federal government to be able to get an abortion. I'm proud to point to my amendment, the Shaheen Amendment. You know, in Washington, they name things after you. But the Shaheen Amendment has finally ended that discrimination. And Cecile Richards from Planned Parenthood said that's the first piece of pro-choice legislation that has passed in Congress in the last 30 years. Because he went to Dartmouth. But I've been working with him on energy efficiency legislation. It's legislation that would reduce pollution, it would save consumers billions of dollars a year, and it would create almost 200,000 jobs. This legislation was poised to pass the Senate several weeks ago. We had enough Republican co-sponsors to break the filibuster, and then, unfortunately, politics got in the way. You may have heard about it. Some Republicans decided that it was more important to deny me a victory and to help my opponent than it was to pass legislation that would create thousands of jobs. And so, the bill was killed. But I am going to keep working, and so is Senator Portman. We're going to keep working until we pass this legislation, because we've got to reduce energy costs in New Hampshire. There is a clear choice in this election. I put New Hampshire first, and I always will. My opponents put special interests first, like big oil and big Wall Street banks. I believe every worker should earn a decent wage, so I support increasing the minimum wage. My opponents all oppose increasing the minimum wage. I support equal pay for equal work, and I fought hard for pay equity for women. Yeah. My opponents oppose it. My opponents want to turn back the clock on reproductive rights and marriage equality, and we will not let them do that. Insurance companies could discriminate against women, could refuse to cover pre-existing conditions, could cut off coverage when you're sick. I believe every American deserves access to quality, affordable health care. Affordable Care Act, but they don't have an alternative. Now, I know we've got to keep working to make the Affordable Care Act better. That's what I plan to do, but we are not going back to those days when health insurance companies decided what kind of health care we could get. And I believe we should invest in clean energy technologies and energy efficiency so we can create the jobs of the future and stop polluting our air. My opponents billions in tax breaks to the big oil companies, the richest corporations on the planet. But as we go into this election, I need your help. Our great Governor Maggie needs your help. Carol Shea Porter and Annie Custer need your help. Everyone up and down the Democratic ticket needs your help. We saw in Virginia an interesting thing. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to think about the outcome. But one of the things I liked was the Tea Party candidate's comments election night when he said, "Money doesn't vote, people vote." To our professional colleagues, to our family, that we knock on the doors, that we make the calls, that we tell people what's at stake in this election. This is about what kind of future we want for New Hampshire and the country. We want to put New Hampshire first. We want to do everything we can to elect people who are going to put New Hampshire first. And if we do that, working together, Democrats will win in November. And when we win, New Hampshire families will win.